the oldest Baptist church in Delaware. It was organized in 1701. This building was erected in 1746. Some of you heard us mention the fact about the cannonball hitting the church there, right in the center. You can see where it's been patched, and that's a piece of unique information. There are some early pastors buried in the graveyard. The one right behind me here is Elisha Thomas, and again, Thomas was one of the Welsh names. All of these people were of Welsh descent. They did arrive here in the year 1701. The folks at Pennepack assisted them, befriended them, because they were some Welsh brethren and like-minded as far as the Baptist faith is concerned. And generally, this church is considered to be a daughter church of the Pennepack Church. And again, you saw Pennepack yesterday, an original member of the Philadelphia Association. This church is also a member of the Philadelphia Association, or an original member of the Philadelphia Association, I should say. This church, you might have read the little plaque as you came through the gate, designating it as the oldest old school Baptist church in America. You remember Monday we talked about, at the grave of Zelotes Grinnell, the anti-missions controversy and how Grinnell was decidedly on the side of missions. And Gilbert Beebe, who would have preached here at this place on numerous occasions, was the champion for the cause of anti-missions, anti-effort, and make no effort for the conversion of souls. Now, David Jones you saw his burial site yesterday. He was converted here at this church many years ago. And of course, that gives you an idea, though they say they're the oldest old school Baptist church in America, and they had their beginnings in 1701, then it helps you to put it in perspective that anti-mission split did not take place until the mid-1800s, 1826 to 1833. That's when the old school titles began to be attached and when that philosophy began to be adopted. So David Jones was converted under the preaching of the gospel here at this place. Other people were converted under the preaching of the gospel. They were very evangelistic. They planted churches. From this church would go out to South Carolina. Those people would start the second oldest Baptist church in South Carolina, the Welsh Neck Baptist Church. And of course, those people there, some of you have been to that spot. You know they were a church planting church as well. This is the first church in America this is the church. Others may have done it, but this church is generally noted as the one that reintroduced hymn singing among the congregations in the Baptist churches in America. And you say, well, why did they not sing prior to that? Well, whenever somebody's looking for you to put you in jail, it's not a good thing to raise your voice in song. Anyway, you have to keep that in mind as far as that type thing is concerned. But they did reintroduce that, and don't we enjoy the good hymn singing today? Some other interesting history attached to this church is, Brother Bick, you might want to point out to them where it is in just a little bit, but Jefferson Davis' mother is buried here, and of course there was some interesting history, yes. But we told the story when here previously about Captain Calvin Tubbs, and he is buried just over here as well. It was just a brother that was here in the church. He was a sea captain, went over to Hamburg, Germany. He was iced in during the winter there and had to stay with a local pastor, Lutheran pastor at that place. His name was Onken, Johann Gerhard Onken. And he began to talk about the subject of baptism. And by the time that the winter is over and Tubbs is able to return here, then he's already convinced a Lutheran preacher, according to Scripture, in believers' baptism. He said, I want to be baptized. Would you send some preacher back to Germany to administer the ordinance of believers' baptism to me? And 7 years later, Barnes Sears, a Baptist preacher here from Boston, got the message from Captain Tubbs when he was traveling to Germany, he was going to look up Onken, and he did, and Onken had convinced 6 others by that time of their need for believers' baptism, and he baptized them, Sears did, and organized them into a church. And what happened from that point is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Onken began to preach. The Spirit of God, the power of God was upon him. He began to organize churches. He was in prison. He was persecuted for his faith, as were the other Baptists, but is basically responsible for the spread of the Baptist faith not only across Germany, but into Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Russia, many of the countries there in Europe. God used him to literally form thousands of Baptist churches, and you'd have to bring all that fruit back and lay it at the feet of one member of a Baptist church who simply was defending Baptist principles as they're found in the Scriptures.
Amen.
So, brethren, that's what we must do. We must defend the faith, and God will honor that.